Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel Anime Zone Sensei. In this video I will show you top 10 action romance anime where main character is overpowered badass. The kid asks his grandfather if the story he is about to hear is any good and the grandfather says, "Are you kidding? Fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love, miracles." We here at Honey's Anime agree with the grandfather from the 1987 film The Princess Bride and think of these as the best elements of the best stories. You have to have a little action, a little romance, and a hero that gets the girl for a great story. We at Honey's Anime will now count down the shows that contain all these elements, creating a list of the top 10 action, romance anime. Before I start the video, please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon. Let's start the video. Number 10. Campione. Matsurowanu Kamigami to Kamigoroshi no Maou, Campoine. 16-year-old Kuzenagi Godu wants to perform a good deed by returning a stone tablet that his grandfather had found in Italy and taken to Japan. On Godu's trip he gets caught up in a fight between a god and a beautiful young knight named Erica Blandi. He quickly finds himself in combat. On a more surprising note, he is able to kill the rogue god and becomes a god slayer or Campione. A Campione has great strength and durability that allows him to gather special powers he can use to defeat rogue gods. The key to accessing the power is knowledge. If he understands the history of a god he can defeat it. Godo, not being an expert on mythology, needs a little help now and then, and that is where his growing harem comes into play. If Godo is lacking in knowledge, Erica, or any other girl, can transfer important information with a depot la French kiss. Erica says the kiss transfer is faster than a verbal explanation. The kissing trick works with other capable fighters and mystics that join him to fight the other rogue gods, other Campioni, and an oncoming potentially earth-ending attack by one of the oldest gods in myth. You can tell from the preceding description that this show has a lot of action. It has a good amount of romance, too. Erica, despite the other girls in Godu's orbit, is actually in love with him. She wants to be his support and ensure he becomes one of the greatest Campioni in history. We also see Godu realize her feelings and he accepts and returns her affections. If you like myth, action, and romance and an aggressive female lead that actually kisses the boy, this is the anime for you. Number 9. Deai. A massive explosion of space-time devastates East Asia and kills 100 million people. The space quake, as it is referred to, becomes the first of many events, most significantly smaller, over the course of the next 30 years. Shaidu and his younger sister Kotori live in an Asian metropolis that sees frequent space quakes. The city is designed with shelters for the citizens to evacuate to in case of a tremor. A quake alert sends him running across town out of concern for his sister, and that is how poor Shaidu's life goes off the rails. In his panicked search for his sister, Shaidu comes across a young woman standing at the center of a crater who has been set upon by the mecha-wearing Spirit Strike Force. The confused girl under attack by the SSF seemed to be easily holding her own, but Shaidu comes to her aid. He eventually corners her in a school building, talks her down from her violent rampage and gives her a name, Tuka. Shortly after the incident, Shaidu is transported to an airship where he learns that the space quakes are caused by emotional instabilities in spirits that find themselves in our dimension. To complicate the matter, the spirits are always young women. He also finds out that the team on the airship is in competition with the SSF. The strike force handles the spirits by killing them. The airship team wants to make them emotionally stable, by having them fall in love with Shaidu. Did we mention that his younger sister is the commander of the airship? We then watch Shaidu date and live with a whole harem of teenage girls trying to keep each of them happy and emotionally stable. The story has a lot of battles, the biggest ones start near the end, but there's a lot of just plain chaos in between. Deai is a fun adventure that involves high-stakes romance and is absolutely deserving of a spot on this list. Number 8. Dungeon ni Deai wo Motomeru no wa Machigatteiru Darou. Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? Orio is a city set in a fantasy world where many of the gods, bored with life in heaven, descended to earth and created families of humans. The city they chose sits over a labyrinth of caves that spawn monsters. The massive subterranean network is called the dungeon. When killed, the monsters leave behind magical stones and occasionally drop items, like in a modern dungeon crawling video game. The gods send their families of adventurers into the caverns to kill the monsters and collect the items that are the heartbeat of the Orio economy. The story focuses on adventurer Bel and his impoverished goddess Hestia, Greek goddess of the hearth. Bel toils each day killing monsters as Hestia works part-time to help them make their way in this tough world. The story has several arcs focusing on Bel and the challenges he faces in the dungeon and an epic battle deep in the labyrinth. The romance is between Belle and the women he worships, Ais the beautiful sword princess from a rival family that helps him train, and Hestia, the goddess he literally worships. Hestia loves her follower and wants him to succeed as any parent would have their child. She also has the hots for Belle and is extremely jealous when any other girl or woman pays any attention to him. We think Ais likes Belle but keeps her emotions close to her chest. The story is a classic adventure. It has an underdog hero and a girl, or 2 or 3 or 4, that support him in the best way each of them can. Belle is a great character, too. He isn't the strongest nor the fastest and he doesn't have a special power that breaks the rules. He is a low-level adventurer trying to level up. Hestia, on the other hand, is funny, jealous, a bit of a Zuntier, but she is all heart, willing to humble herself to help Belle succeed. We love watching their relationship and hope you will, too. Number 7. Zetsuen no Tempest, Blast of Tempest. Yoshino Takigawa has made a fatal friendship mistake. He's secretly dating Eika, the younger sister of his best friend Mahiro. Eika becomes the victim of a mysterious murder and the two boys go their separate ways as they deal with their grief. Mahiro becomes obsessed with finding the culprit to make him pay for his crime. Yoshino does his best to move on. A girl Yoshino doesn't know contacts him and charges him with saving her life. From this point, Yoshino's life will spin up and up until he is swallowed by a mystery that will bring him full circle. Blast of Tempest is filled with drama, and when you're dealing with teens that drama is usually derived from romantic entanglements. The story also has a mystery and supernatural element that play heavily in its favor. The story is filled with action and romance and broken hearts and broken people, giving it a solid spot on our list. Number 6. Hidan no Aria, Aria of the Scarlet Ammo. The future has more crime than today, and in response to that, the government of Japan has decided to create a high school to start training future crime fighters. Tokyo Butai High is the home of these young law enforcement officers. The student officers go by the name Butai and one of the officers is Kinji Tuama, of the logistics school. He hopes to live out his days quietly with planning and management classes because he doesn't want to do any tiresome chasing of bad guys. The calm and quiet of his life is destroyed when he is targeted by the Butai killer. He is saved by the prodigy detective Aria Holmes Kanzaki. The scarlet-haired twin-tailed and twin-gun Dirty Harriet can tell he's hiding something and demands that if she is going to protect him he has to become her partner. Aria the Scarlet Ammo has plenty of gun-wielding badassery and impossible shots as the two chase down the villains and uncover the truth about the Butai killer. The romance comes in Aria and Genji's relationship as it grows in a classic first comes hate, then comes love, as often happens with action stories. We get a look at their emotional baggage and are given reasons for the two to find comfort in each other's arms, which is enough to find a place on this action romance list. Number 5. Macross Delta. A mysterious plague known as the VAR syndrome is spreading across the Brising Globular Cluster, a distant section of the Milky Way galaxy. The disease lies dormant in much of the population, and once it is triggered it can turn the masses into a violent, murderous mob. The discovery that music sung by people with a particular trait can come and even inoculate people from the infection leads to the creation of Walkyer, a singing group, and Delta Platoon, an aerial combat squad, that performs air shows during their concerts and protects the singers with lethal force when called upon. The globular cluster is thrown into further chaos by the planet of Windmere declaring war. With their elite aerial knights, they quickly gain control of much of the cluster. We watch battle after battle in the space and in the skies of the various planets, all set to some amazing music, easily filling out the action requirement of this list. The romance of Macross Delta involves a love triangle. The Macross Delta triangle is made up of a rookie pilot in Delta Platoon, Hayate Momo, Windermere exile Freya Wyan, a member of Walkyer, and Mirage, Hayate's training officer. We also have romance in other areas as well. Makina and Reina, two members of Walkyer, are in a committed relationship. While ace pilot Messer has a crush on Walkyer member Kaname, who has a crush on Arad, the leader of Delta Platoon. The main action revolves around the relationship between Hayate and Freya, but gives the other relationships their own moments in the sun along the way. Macross as a franchise filled with action and romance, and this latest series doesn't disappoint. Number 4. Oda Nobunaga no Yabou, The Ambition of Oda Nobunaga. Oda Nobunaga may be one of the most frequently visited historical figures in Japanese history. The 16th century warlord has been visited by time travelers in countless anime and dramas. The Ambition of Oda Nobunaga is a Rule 63 version of those adventures. Rule 63 states that for every character there is also the same character of the opposite gender. So, in this version of the story, Nobunaga and all his lieutenants are female. The story focuses on a 17-year-old student named Seiga Yashiharu who time travels to the Sengoku period and become a member of the Nobunaga court. This time, the warlord is a beautiful teenaged girl who is smart, brave in battle, and wants nothing more than to unite Japan under one ruler. The two of them have a great rom-com relationship as they learn to like, trust, and love each other. We watch Seiger with his knowledge of the future help Nobunaga gain the military advantage and possibly change history. The Ambition of Oda Nobunaga could be more accurately described as a harem anime if it wasn't for one thing, Seiger's undying love and devotion to Nobunaga. The other girls are just eye candy for the viewer. Number 3. Dragonaut The Resonance. An asteroid is on a collision course for Earth. The world has known about this potential planet killer for 20 years and spent that time preparing. The creation of the Solar System Development Agency, ISDA, has a sole purpose, to quote Pacific Rim, cancel the apocalypse. The agency thinks it has finally found its solution when a dragon egg is discovered on the ocean floor. The agency's relative calm of having everything in hand is shattered when a new threat appears, dragon-like creatures that also seem to want to destroy the Earth. The protagonist of the series is Jinkei Machina. He witnesses an attack by one of the rogue dragons and is nearly killed before a girl by the name of Toa saves him before he might have plunged to his death. Jin, after his rescue, is partnered with his savior and is quickly pulled into the top-secret program to stop these rogue dragons. He becomes a Dragonaut, a pilot of dragons. We watch a relationship between a loner and a girl with a mysterious past gradually develop as they learn to trust each other in order to save the world. The gradual building of the relationship is one of the best parts of this series. You don't get everything all at once or a big behind-the-school confession. The partners grow together and fall in love, which is one of the most romantic ways a relationship can have. Sis and her knight working together to overcome all the odds stacked against them. A couple that occasionally acts affectionately toward each other, going to the extreme of holding hands in private. The show is funny and fast-paced and we highly recommend it. Number 1. Grancrest Senki, Record of Grancrest War. Chaos rules the continent of Atlatan. Chaos is a magical force that twists the laws of nature, causing demons, monsters, and spirits to appear. The nobility was given the duty and power to quell the chaos through power known as crests. You become a lord through gaining a crest by defeating a lord, having someone give it to you, or if you're strong enough you can defeat a chaos demon and seize its core. The root of defeating a demon is often the way a self-made lord comes into being. The lords are not always noble and one by one they quickly decide to abandon the purpose of the crests, defeating the chaos, and begin waging war upon each other, trying to steal each other's crests to gain dominion over one another. The anime focuses on Theo, a young self-made lord who wants to gain enough power to quell the chaos of his homeland. He meets Silukamelitz, a prodigy mage that hates what the world has become and wants to remake the lordly order and rid the world of chaos. We now have boy meets girl, the classic setup for romance. He decides to come to her aid when she is set upon by bandits on the road. She doesn't really need his help, but lets him defend her to see what he is made of. She is intrigued by the young lord and decides that service to him might help her achieve her own goals. The two are basically joined at the hip and have unwavering faith in each other. She guides Theo through the trials of making alliances and fighting for survival as he increases his rank, climbing the ladder of nobility and getting closer to his goal. The series is filled with adventure and epic large-scale battles on land and sea. We see several heroes fall and villains rise through the course of the show, making you worry that one of the two won't make it to the end. The best part is you get a feeling that the two are indeed in love. You don't even need to wait until the end of the first season for them to kiss. You even get to see an epic side romance between the leaders of the two largest warring factions. If you want an anime that is filled with romance and action on a Game of Thrones scale, this is definitely one you should be watching. The idea of a good story having action and romance is as old as stories themselves. The Iliad about the fall of Troy in ancient Greece is simply about two men in love with the same woman and how it sparked a war. So, the idea that modern storytelling would often include a romantic subplot isn't far-fetched. You learn early on as a fiction writer to write what the audience wants, and that's often a tale of adventure filled with action and a wonderful romance. We, the audience, want to feel as the credits roll like we did at the end of The Princess Bride. Since the invention of the kiss, there have only been 5 kisses that were rated the most passionate, the most pure. This one left them all behind. If you like the video, please subscribe my channel and press